cabinet with Sharon and Bill Tindo. Today we're going to talk about our favorite handheld consoles. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Sharon and Bill Tindo here on the arcade cabinet. How you guys doing?
Right. Dude.
All right. Well, I just had an unpleasant experience, and I'm going to return this. But if anybody knows how to work this True Blue Mini Genesis Mega Drive, message me. But I'm going to return it because it gave me a virus, and I had to reset my whole computer and all this other madness. But anyways, today we're going to talk about our favorite handheld consoles. But before we do that, I wanted to go over some gamer news and get your guys' opinion. The first one I want to talk about is the PlayStation. You guys heard anything about the new PlayStation coming out?
Yeah. It looks nice. I like the way it looks like. It looks like a server, and like it almost looks like they took a PlayStation 2 and they wrapped it. But I mean, it looks nice, like with LED lights. I was checking it out the other day, along with the controller. I think it's going to be really nice. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not going to jump right in right away. But I'm going to see what everybody else is doing with it first, because I'm still happy with my PlayStation 4. But I think I'm going to let the new kids handle it first. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, when it first comes out, the first couple months, I'm probably not going to buy it. That's when I'm going to swoop in on some people and buy a PS4 real cheap because they're trying to upgrade. And then I'm going to buy one, let them work a couple kinks out because you know how launch issues go. But overall, I'm pretty excited about the PS5. I haven't bought a new console in like 2 or 3 generations of gaming. I buy them used afterwards. But the PS5's looking nice. I like the design. I think the discless version is a lot cleaner looking, but me personally, I'm a gamer and a collector. I'm not buying a discless version of anything,
Yeah, I think it's nice.
I want my copies of the game in hand. I'm not a downloader. Some people are, and if that's too great, it's not me. Yeah. I like to own the game.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the price tag?
Well, that's not uncommon for something like that. I think it's going to be around the price of $600. That's not really uncommon for the new system with everything, with all the when you knock in a game, a controller, that's not uncommon for it to be about that $500-$600 price tag. So I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not going to jump right in to begin with. Like I said, I want to see them work out the kinks anyway. But it is what it is.
Well, sure, you got a good point about it's common to be around $500-$600 because I've actually looked into this and studied on it a little bit about other things. But what we find is accounting for inflation, every console that's ever come out, mainly from your Atari 2600 to your Xbox One, is around $500. Now, you do have exceptions to those rules. The Intellivision, which came out in the Atari 2600 days. It came out in like 1979, 78. Dealing with inflation, it was not $500. It was like $1,200. TurboGrafx, $900, accounting for inflation. So a lot of them float around that $500. So to be just a little bit over it, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but at the same time, it's on par.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And look at the Neo Geo when it released back in 1990.
I was gonna say, Ron, you the one that brought the Neo Geo, so your price range is.
Look, when that thing came out, I mean, you got to think, what was that inflation? If there was a $600 machine back in 1990, where the Nintendo was only running you about $149. The Super Nintendo was, I think it came out like at $199. Genesis was about $189. So you figure you got this $600 console, and then you have video game carts each that are $199, $299, somewhere up in there. So yeah, that was a hefty price point for that.
It was. I think that was a lot of the problem with the Neo Geo's success. Like, it would have been a lot more successful if it would have been a lot more affordable, but it wasn't. It wasn't affordable. But Yeah, it was pretty hefty, and even now it's just gotten heftier on the aftermarket, secondhand market.
You know, that was actually designed, and I read about it. It was like a niche market for that thing. That was a machine that was designed for like rentals in hotels, and they were renting them out there, and they liked it so much. That's why they started with the home version, and like arcades, they like to have that machine because it was one console, but yet it could hold up to 4 or 5 games in it, and you would just go and you would select what game you wanted to play. And when I first saw it, I was blown away. I saw the Art of Fighting and Samurai Showdown, which we'll talk about that on another day. But yeah, I really did love the Neo Geo. That was my thing right there.
So basically, the consensus is it's the price of what it would have been in the 90s due to inflation. And Sharon, I gather you probably get it sooner than we would get it. I'm gonna hold off. I'm with Bill. I'm gonna hold off for a minute. What's your thoughts, Sharon? You'll have it soon.
You know what? I've noticed, like with the pandemic and everything, I've really grown a lot more fond of my PlayStation now because I'm not really going a lot of places anymore. I was planning on going to Universal Studios in the fall, but I don't know if that's going to happen now. But lately, I've been downloading a lot of old school games like the Contras, and I think I'm going to get Castlevania and like the Rayman. So I've also downloaded Street Fighter, so I've been actually having a lot of fun with my PlayStation. Now, for them to come out with another console, unless I can really transfer all these games and data over, it's like I'd almost be starting over. But yeah, I'm sure I will have it. I'll have it somewhere. And Bill, I'm with you. I like having a disc, unless I simply cannot get digital. Unless I simply cannot get a digital disc. I like having the CD version because I have Blu-rays and DVDs, and I think that's really cool. I remember back when I had Nintendo, and to me it looked like a VCR. And I wonder what would happen.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I used to think, I wonder what would happen if they made like video consoles, like you could watch movies and stuff out of this. And I wish I had maybe put some kind of patent on that, because like here we are today, and the gaming consoles do more than just gaming. I watched Jurassic Park last night on my PlayStation 4, and I streamed it through Voodoo. Who'd have thought?
Hey, honestly, let's look at it this way. It's funny you say that because there's certain models of the PS1 that are extremely collectible where, most other models aren't. And it's the one with the red, yellow, white plugs in the back instead of the standard plug.
Mm-hmm.
Because the PlayStation 1 came with a really good Sony CD player built in it. So, people that like good CD music, they buy these old PlayStations. And along those lines, how many people do you know that the PlayStation 1 was their first CD player? The PlayStation 2 was their first DVD player. And the PlayStation 3 was their first Blu-ray player. That's everybody I know.
Yeah. I had that original PlayStation. I remember we went to Louisiana to buy that thing, Mark.
Oh, yeah. We went to, what was that? Slidell. All right, so we'll start off with now we'll move on, segue into our favorite consoles. Bill or Sharon, you want to start this?
I'll go first. My favorite console, my first handheld console that I bought for myself was actually my PlayStation Portable. I like this thing. It was really cool. I still have the box for it and everything. I bought it somewhat after Hurricane Katrina. It was really cool. I like the fact that you could download like all your music. The video games were on CD. The only drawback that I had with it was those little VMU discs. Like sometimes the little, I guess, the little plastic that went around the disc, it would break and the games wouldn't spin correctly, so you had to almost kind of take it apart and finagle it a little bit, and you put it back in, and it did fine. But I had a lot of fun with this machine. I haven't played it before. Something happened with it, but I don't know. Maybe I can put it back together. But it was a solid game system for what it was. The price point on it was probably about I think when I bought it, probably about $250. And I remember like another version that came out that I brought my son, and it was a version after this one. And he had a lot of fun with it. I passed a lot of my games on to him. But it was solid. It had a good load time, had good graphics. It wasn't choppy like the original PlayStation. A lot of the graphics would be a little choppy and breaky. It didn't do that. It's solid. It held up, and I loved it. Still love it.
So it's a 32-bit.
I'm not really sure if it was 32-bit or not. It may have been a little higher. Maybe 128.
Oh, okay.
The PSP came out the same time as the PS3, right around that same era, because I had the PSP 1001 just like you did, the first model with the UMD disc. I love that system, man. It is definitely one of my favorite all-time systems. To this day, my kids still play it. I used to play the hell out of Death Jr. on there, and whatever that Marvel game was. It was a superhero. The Rise of the Imperfects. Played a lot of that on there. It was a real good alternative at the time to the DS, where the DS, all the girls in my house at first had the DS, and I started playing it a little bit, and then I got into it, but like the PSP felt like my machine,
Yeah.
There for me. I had music on mine. I made a mount where it went in my car, so we could watch, so the kids could watch movies while we were driving on that tiny little screen. But
Right.
It was a great system. It had a lot of flexibility to it.
It did. It really did. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my sister bought me a DS with that Brain Age game. I still got it.
At one point, everybody in my house had a DS with Brain Age, and we would all sit in the living room and play against each other.
I have Brain Age. I bought a Nintendo 3DS a couple of years back, and I had the Brain Age game in it. In fact, when I was married, Christy, I bought her on Christmas. I bought her a Nintendo, and she had that game, and she kept on and on and on, trying to figure out the puzzles and everything. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a humbling experience though when you first play it. Your Brain Age is up there.
Right. Like nice.
Yeah. So, Bill, you want to tell us your favorite handheld console?
My favorite handheld console is right here, and that's the Game Boy Advance. So the Game Boy Advance come out in 2001. It was meant to replace the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Color, and the original Game Boy. The SP is the most popular model, the one that flips open and was the obvious predecessor to the DS. Personally, I prefer the first generation of Advance, where it was more PSP shaped with shoulder triggers and stuff like that, where the screen was turned sideways into escape mode. And the screen wasn't as good, but it felt comfortable when you were holding it, So I like that one more, but, the SP has the backlit screen, which the original Game Boy Advance did not. And actually, some of these screens are way better than others. There's a model number, the AGS 101. Those actually go for about $30 more on average, because the screen is so much brighter and sharper. But I like the Game Boy Advance. Thing is, like, if you had the Game Boy Advance, it didn't matter what kind of games you play. Like, your sister might like this kind of game, and your cousin might like this kind of game, and you like this kind of game. There were so many games for the Advance. There were so many that covered every single genre. And they were mostly all really well done and clean. Nintendo had a decent quality control over the Game Boy Advance situation. And kind of wish it would have continued a little bit longer, but the DS came in and put a stop to it.
Nintendo's on handhelds.
Yeah, because I was going to say my favorite was my first one, and that was the... even if it was black and white and had like a greenish little tint to it. I had the DS, I had the Advance. I had the Advance briefly, man. I remember I had it with F-Zero. I sold it for some reason. I wish I'd have saved it. But my first love was the original Game Boy. I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. and then I had Mario Land, and of course I had Tetris. It was just weird though. You had to get all those accessories because you couldn't really see it at night, and you had to change the tint. And but I mean that was the first one, and I think that revolutionized handheld consoles, and we all agree like Nintendo. Um, I was hoping somebody would say Lynx, man. I always thought the Lynx looked pretty cool, but I've
I never,
never known anybody that owned it.
You
I
know,
never got to play it, but I did have a Game Gear once upon a time, and I thought that Sega they upped the game with that, and they had the TV tuner. You know,
yeah,
that cost just as much as the whole system again. You know, but I thought that was. I don't know whatever happened to my Game Gear, but yeah, it's long gone now. Maybe I'll find another one and buy it. You know, just kind of have it in the cut. You know.
Hmm.
the thing is, like, Game Gear and Lynx were out about the same time as the Game Boy, but
Mhm.
the Lynx and the Game Gear were both color, and they both had backlit screens. The original
Yeah.
Game didn't have either of those things, and somehow still outsold them like crazy because the Lynx was a really, really good system, and so was the Game Gear.
Yeah.
I want to say,
If you were really the man back in the day, the handheld system would either be the Turbo Go, which is TurboGrafx 16, or the Sega Nomad, where you could play your Genesis cartridges in it. And it looked like
yeah,
the game.
that was like a precursor to the Switch, right? The Nomad.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it similar format. You know, you could take your home game that you playing at home and pop it into your handheld and roll out.
And I think I remember the Lynx had California games, and they had this F-18 game, and I want to say the Lynx was 16-bit. It looked like it was 16-bit.
It was, but they also had Easy Gaiden. I remember that. I don't know much about it.
But I know I've read somewhere that the Game Boy sold a ridiculous amount of units, though.
Oh yeah.
I think if you check, the Game Boy is actually the highest selling console ever.
It's Nintendo.
Consoles, home consoles, and portables. I think the Game Boy, there's several different iterations of what's considered a Game Boy, but overall they sold so many that no other console can compete with it.
Right.
Man, and Neo Geo had a handheld as well, right? If I could.
Yeah, that's
they Geo Pocket.
yeah. It was called Neo Geo X, and it came out about 5 or 6 years back. And what it does is it pops into like a Neo Geo case, and you hook it up to your television. So it's almost like that was kind of a precursor to the Switch. Now you can play that on, or if you want to go, you can just pop it out and you can take it wherever. I never bought one, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty solid thing also.
So, are you guys familiar with? I just become familiar with it in the last couple of years because I never knew about it as a kid. The Wonder Swan, which was console. It looked a little bit like the landscape version of the Game Boy Advance, the original version. Man, they had to have 1,000 games for this thing, and I mean, it was in color. It was a good little system. I've never heard of it. I think it was real big in the UK. I think it did okay in the United States, but I just learned about it a couple of years ago.
I never heard of it.
Oh wow! You
Uh,
guys seen that handheld that plays like it has different adapters, and you can play like Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games. It's like this weird handheld console, but it has like adapters. I think I seen it on GameSack. It's pretty wild.
I've seen like a console that you go to the television that does that, but I haven't seen the handheld version of it.
Right. I haven't seen the handheld that does multiple cartridges. I do know Hyperkin makes the Super Game Boy, or the Super Boy as they call it, and it looks like a big SNES controller with a screen in the middle of it, and you play your SNES cartridges in it.
I have seen that.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
The Super Boy is pretty tough. I'd like to get one day.
I wonder if this is
Yeah, I have seen that thing. But yeah,
Got a question. DS, 3DS. What was the difference? Like, what was the 3D hype about that?
So when they first came out, Nintendo had like this whole system set up, and they had the screens were upgraded from the regular DS to the 3DS to do proper 3D gaming. They had a few games at launch with it, but they didn't really support it, and they didn't maximize their usage of it. You know, you could scan in your kitchen table, and a fruit bowl is going to be in your game because that's what's on your kitchen table. It's okay. Or you look at the bottom screen and it looks like your characters are running across your kitchen table, but they didn't really maximize it. So after probably, I would say the first 6 months, other than an upgrade in screens and resolution and processing power, there's really no difference. I mean, they have a bunch of games that only run on the 3DS and not the regular DS because they require more processing power. But overall, you and I are not gonna like make a big deal about am I gonna buy this game for DS or 3DS, because they made very few actual 3D games.
Mm-hmm. I actually never. I have a Nintendo 3DS. I have a few games in 3D. Like I have Michael Jackson's dance game is in 3D. Resident Evil's 3D, and it has a few other things. But yeah, I mean, I didn't put like a whole lot of stock into it. I mean, it's a really cool system. But,
right.
But yeah, Star Fox was like the best 3D game that they had on there. I thought that was pretty impressive. But for me, in order to truly enjoy 3D, it almost has to be in a movie screen. You know, I mean, it looks cool on the little screen, but you know, it kind of plays with your eyes a little bit. Also, you know, you have to monitor the rest after a while.
Yeah, I'm personally not a 3D person. I remember going to see Desolation of Smaug, the Hobbit movie, and it was in 3D. Man, look, I read the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit books a dozen times when I was a kid, and I loved the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when I went and saw the Hobbit movie in 3D, I hated it. I waited until it came out on DVD, watched it regular screen, and thought it was pretty decent. But not a big fan of 3D movies for the most part. I think
with 3D, that kind of thing is best suited for a short cartoon. You know, because I mean, you know, like say maybe something like kind of like Captain EO or like a Disneyland attraction. You know, because I mean, it'll really work on your eyes after a while. You know, and Desolation of Smaug will be about a 3-hour movie. You know, so you.
What was that movie? That Marvel movie, man. Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That movie has so much going on in 3D, man. I made the mistake of having the D seat, the moving seat. That was too much for me, man. That was sensory overload. Did you guys ever? Was it Sega that had the 3D glasses with the Master System?
Yeah, they had that.
And I don't know if I never got to try it out. My cousin had a Master System, but I never did the 3D thing, and I didn't know. And didn't they have a Rad Racer in 3D or something like that for Nintendo?
It was some kind of, you know what, it wasn't 3D on Nintendo. I remember that, but I don't remember Nintendo releasing any kind of glasses or anything, because you would push the select button, and would switch up. I remember that now. Yeah.
Rad Racer. Yeah, it was Rad Racer. But I've never tried it or tested it. But and Bill has another news, man. We were talking about a Sega game.
So Sega has announced a new Alex Kidd game, and dude, it looks like a current gen Alex Kidd game. You know, his graphics are upgraded and everything. Looks great, but there's also a 16-bit mode reportedly that you could click on, so you could play it in 16-bit, like if you were playing it on the Genesis.
Oh, nice! When does that release?
A couple months from now, I believe. They just started releasing the promos for it.
You know, say they're really on their game. I like what they're doing because they released Sonic Mania and that was hot. Still is hot. And then now we have Streets of Rage 4, and now they got Alex Kidd. This you know, they did the Disney game, the Castle of Illusion.
Oh yeah, no, I like the Castle of Illusion.
I like how they're taking these games that we played growing up, teenagers, and are bringing them to now. You know, I think that's a really good idea. I mean, everybody's really buying into that whole nostalgia trip right now. You know, so I mean, I think Sega's winning with that. You know, I think they should make a Golden Axe revamped. You know.
No. They need to bring back, what's that arcade game they had? The Revenge of the Death Adder. They never brought that to consoles, man. They need to bring that out.
Hey, bring it. Yeah. They should.
A Sega game that they bring up, do a current gen version of. Let me get a 3D world version of Altered Beast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that they remade didn't they have Altered Beast? Was it on the PlayStation or? It was horrible. They had an Altered Beast where it was like an agent. He had a chip, and he could change it to like different animals. And when he changed, it looked gruesome, but it was a pretty forgettable game. But we got about 4 minutes. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Yes, no. Me and Bill, we talked about this. I want to know your opinion, Sharon. Do you think Sega should come back with a console?
Oh, that's tough. I gotta say, I don't know, because I mean, you know, the console wars. That was tough. You know, money it's really kind of tight when you start thinking about a $500 system. You know, with a PlayStation 5, and then there's like a Nintendo Switch, and now if you throw Sega in the mix, that almost kind of takes their games from this system that we already have, and now you have to go out and buy their system. So now you have to have another console just to play these games. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I don't know. That's like more money I'd have to spend. So
you already buy it.
You know,
Bill had a good. I like Bill's point. It made sense.
Like I told Mark when we talked about it. What I think is Sega is going, if they made a new console, I don't think the market's right for them, because you're going to buy the console, Mark's going to buy the console, I'm going to buy the console. Your kids aren't going to buy the console. My kids aren't. None of these kids are, because they only know Sega as a game developer. So they don't care. What's the point? It'd be the same thing as EA putting out their own console. The kids definitely going to buy it. Our age group is the only ones that's going to buy a Sega console at this point in time.
Right.
I think they would probably have a pretty good shot if they put out a handheld, because the handheld market is fairly small. You have the DS, which is dwindling down because it's been replaced by the portable version of the Switch. And I mean, what else do we really have? Am I missing something?
No, that's it.
Like, so if Sega fix with a really good handheld, I think that would be a great spot for them.
Yeah, I don't think that, you know what, and scratch that. I think they should really just stick with software and just like upload the games to the telephones, you know. So, I mean, I think I'm with you on that. You know, our generation is really going to be the only ones that's going to buy that, you know. They make games. I love Sega's games, but yeah.
I wonder if this is part of Yui's strategy.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, about a minute left. I like to say, you know, check us out, Spotify. We're now on Google Podcasts, Deezer, Podchaser, and then pretty soon these shows will be on the NIOS Media Roku channel, NIOUS Media Roku channel. And if you like another show that's good to check out, Deeper Than Music Podcast, and then also check out Bill Tendo as well. Anything else you guys want to close out with? We got about a minute left.
Yeah, you know, you can check me out on Facebook, My Mind's Eye. You know, you can check out my artwork, and also you can see me at Sharon Art Store on Etsy. You know, I don't know if you can see this. I made a little sign. You know, if anybody is watching at home.
Bill can ask text. You can have the text on the video.
I'm adding in.
I can't put it in any text right now. So yeah, we'll work on that part. But yeah, you can check me out. My Mind's Eye. And Sharon.
Check out Bill Tendo on Instagram and YouTube. Like and subscribe. New content all the time.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Me, Mark, Bill Tendo, and Sharon for another episode of the Arcade Cabinet. comment, like, subscribe on the podcast platforms, and let us know what you think of the show and if any topics you want us to discuss. All right, and we'll catch you guys later.